all ends.
I hope so.
No,
Well-
it's not gonna happen. It's gonna go down the way that it's probably not. I'm gonna put it down
we
right
did
now.
sell you, though.
You sold me. You really did. I think George R. R. Martin should rewrite it right now. But I don't. I still am skeptical. I don't know.
I think you're right,
so
though.
smart.
Cersei has to be gone.
Yeah.
You should
That's the only
And that's
way
how.
that-
I think we see the path to that now.
But
Agreed.
There's
I
6
don't
people in
know.
agreement.
Yeah, we've got what?
Somebody called George R. R. Martin
We've
right
got
now.
4 episodes left
Three.
this season.
Three.
3 episodes. No,
And then-
it's 8 this season, so we got
7.
4.
7.
There's 13 total.
Is it 7? I thought it was 8 this season and 7 next.
Nope. 7 and 6.
There's only 3
That
left.
really just
Only
upsets
three.
me.
Doesn't that hurt? It hurts to hear that.
that
I know.
upsets me.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Listeners, we
But-
know you feel the same way too.
But so I think what's
We'll
gonna
have
happen.
therapy.
Yeah, well, I can do that anyway. No, I don't think it's gonna happen this season. I don't agree with that. I don't think the war in the South is gonna stop because
Yeah, that's a fair assessment.
Sure.
I'm as a fanboy just so ready for that.
Agreed.
I at this point I don't even want it to happen because that's what's driving me at this point. It's like I want to see some kind of just disjointed fucking pit of hell between the North and the South. So no one sits on the Iron Throne in the South because it's disputed. And then all of a sudden we have the Night King and his army who are coming over the wall and are overwhelming Winterfell. And let's talk about how much we have talked about grain in this season. There's going to be a showdown at Winterfell. If there's not, I'm going to be seriously disappointed.
Too much foreshadowing.
Yeah, there's been so much grain talked about. And who would have thought talking about wheat and barley would have been exciting? But we're getting to that point where, you're going to force conflict somewhere. And we're going to force it at Winterfell. And I don't know where the southern conflict's going to be forced. But Winterfell is definitely going to play a significant role. And I think we've gotten way off topic here. What
Okay,
scene
so
are we at next?
to bring it back. Okay, I was going to talk about Theon Greyjoy because he's kind of the next scene. I don't know if that's actually true.
Yeah, sucks. Let's move on. No, I'm just kidding. 100%.
But he does. But that's
see
my
it.
point.
Yeah.
Like he totally sucks.
Yeah.
Like why are they keeping him around? They have to have some point in the show for having him still around because he does. You see him, you're like, why are you still here? Yeah. All of these other people have like died and they're already gone. Like, why are you here? What do you guys think is his purpose?
Yeah,
and it's not like he can suddenly become a badass because he's not. He's weak. Like he's not.
I believe you mean reek.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no.
But seriously, like
Shame.
what do you guys
Shame.
think?
So
What do you
Renee
think is gonna
and I
be
got
his
into an
role?
argument about this as we were watching the scene unfold. I was like, John's just gonna murder Theon as he steps off the boat.
Yeah.
Like that was my initial reaction to what was happening.
I forgot that he knew that
He knows.
saved Sansa.
Yeah.
though. And so that was the only reason, and that makes sense.
That was what I forgot.
Yeah,
And
I forgot that too.
So sure, Theon as a character and his arc here is shitty. He's a terrible person. But he's not really a terrible person.
The thing is, he's already used his fucking redemption coin, so I don't know why he's alive. But now, the other option, I guess, for him is to save Yara at this point. I think we've definitely seen the last of Ilaria and the Sand Snakes. They're dead from that Euron attack. But where's Yara, and are we going to see her get saved? I think there's a good chance. And that, just like Yara saved Euron before, Theon before, I think there's a good chance we could see that be his last redemption.
I do think that the power to be underestimated is probably one of the greatest in Game of Thrones. And we see that with Littlefinger, right? He just blends into the shadows. And I think with Euron, so many people have seen his work, which is to do nothing. And so... Theon, what'd I say? Euron? Oh, thanks, sorry.
It's
Theon.
hard. Those fucking
They all
pike
just
people.
blend together.
Yeah.
So I do think that there could be something big for him to do here, like when he saved Sansa, right? You almost forget it because of all the other dumb shit he's done. But I could see something more here for him, and almost to the point where it drives us all crazy and you just want him to be axed. But I think there could be more for him. I see another redeeming quality coming out because he has.
Yeah, I think we talked about it on the last podcast, but Yara and him are the only bloodline other than Euron. So if Euron goes, the Greyjoy army, the Iron Islands are theirs. And for whatever reason, that could be the end game. His arc does have to come back at some point.
But ultimately, just fuck Theon. I don't. He's
Theon is
died now.
not
I'm okay with
loyal.
it. Yeah.
It's tough.
I know don't know if I'm satisfied with any of those theories.
Yeah.
And to be
To be
honest,
honest.
I don't think we're going to figure it out until it happens. I think
I
we can
agree.
speculate as much as we want, but
agree.
I think they're just kind of toying him around until they figure out his plot device. I do want to point out, though, we did graze over a little bit of an area with Jon, Davos, and Missandei
Yes.
on the walk and kind of that scene.
Let's start with
Bastard
Jon and
talk.
Davos. That was like the best bro scene ever. It's like, oh, what do you think of her? It's like, oh, she's a nice person. It's like, I've seen you look at her nice heart before.
Yeah. Yeah, she just totally, yeah. I see a Davos calling out Daenerys Sprack. Okay.
Yeah, he was great. Do we think that like the bastard talk is a big deal when they have to explain to her what a bastard is, Missandei, just for the quick minute or whatever that?
I don't know what it would have signified. I heard you guys talking a little bit before the show started tonight. Like, I did think that was a bit of a wasted scene, but someone who was telling me that they didn't think it was, and that it was that you, Seth?
At first watch, I thought it was kind of a toss away. Like
Yeah.
they're just kind of throwing that out there. I don't think the bastard talk is that big of a deal. I think the bigger piece and the meat of that scene is where Missandei is basically like, we chose her to be our leader. We back her. I'm not a slave of her. I'm choosing this of my own free volition. And it kind of echoes what Dany talks to Jon about when he's like, my people won't accept a southern ruler. And he goes, well, or Dany says something along the lines of like, no, but they chose you and they'll accept what you decide. And so it was kind of like a game where you're playing, you got to pick the right choice to get onto that next portion. That was like him hearing from one of the extra pieces in that and kind of understanding like, okay, this is how Dany went about it, and this has clearly worked.
Or it's the idea of what a bastard is at the end of the day. I mean, because both Jon and Davos are bastards. And so I think for Davos to hear that the idea of someone who
I
is
didn't realize Davos was a bastard.
Davos Seaworth, that's what you call the bastards from that part of the kingdom. So Snow, anybody in the north, fun fact. Anybody from the north is a Snow. That's why Ramsay was
Ramsay
Snow for so long until he became Bolton. But I think that was important. The fact that Davos all of a sudden hears that your birthright really doesn't matter. Like, how you are as a person, are you worthy of being followed matters.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with both of you guys because what it said to me about a bastard or feeling like the term bastard doesn't mean anything to Dany or anybody else that's on this island. It's like, Jon, just step up and do your duty. And then she actually, at one point, duty. So at one point, she asks him for his war counsel, and he kind of steps back and says well, I can't do that because I don't understand. But then he looks at her in the face and says, well, if you're gonna take your dragons and burn some people, nobody's gonna respect you on this island. So that, I think it kind of leveled the playing field a little bit for them.
Brogway, real quick, if I can.
Brogway?
I'm gonna Brogway us. Just looking at our time here, I'm gonna Brogway us into her turning people to ashes. We got to talk about that loot train battle. I want to make sure before we get there, before we break this down, Joe, was there a major scene that we missed to go over, or are we ready to get into the loot train?
Yeah, I think we're good. Maybe if we have a minute, there were a couple of themes that would be cool to talk about, but they're not as important, I don't think.
All right, so that loot train battle, I have one question for you guys. Was it better than Battle of the Bastards?
100%.
In a way, the loot train battle was finally the payoff we wanted from the very beginning. It was, we want to see dragons. Damn it. Dragon, yes, I guess. But so Battle of the Bastards was beautiful from a purely medieval standpoint. But this battle when the Lannister army was ambushed here, wherever we're at, this was a high fantasy battle. This is what we've wanted from the very beginning. This is the dragon coming out, just obliterating the Lannister army, and then the Dothraki, who are so cool. It's everything we wanted. It was the payout that we wanted since the very beginning, when we knew dragons existed.
Yeah, I really, really wanted to see the Dothraki in action, honestly. Like, maybe more than the dragon, but that blew my expectations for sure. The only thing I'll say is, like, just from a production perspective and television perspective, the budget, I'm sure, for this episode was much greater than the budget for the Battle of the Bastards, particularly, and that kind of probably played into...
Based off that HBO's website's breakdown of that scene, that has to be true. So I'll agree, like, I think this kicks Battle of the Bastards' ass, and for a lot of reasons. So, like, if we had, like, a plus-minus list for this... I would say, like, where Battle of the Bastards really shined was it had this Braveheart, gritty feel to it. Like this, I think John mentioned it, like this medieval fight, right, between, like, these horse-drawn armies, and we saw the best hero of the show, arguably, versus the worst villain of the show, arguably. There was a clear force to root for, right? There was
there wasn't, though.
In the Battle of the Bastards?
Oh, wait, we're talking
Yeah.
We're not on Loot Train.
I was like, Jesus.
No, you're
In
right.
Battle of the Bastards, like, the worst villain of the show we've
apologize.
seen so far versus the best hero that we've seen so far. And it was clear, and we're cheering for William Wallace just like we cheer for him in Braveheart. Like, it's clear. That's what we do. In this one, though, it was just so muddied. You didn't know who you wanted to cheer for. You know who the side of the good is.
How did you know?
Yeah, hold on.
I really want to know that. How did you know who to root for?
You know how
while
sometimes
you
you
were
like someone and sometimes you don't?
Yes.
It was one of those. It was one of those moments.
But it was
Wait,
this
ladies,
moment.
pump the brakes.
It was this moment where though you had Jaime Lannister, who has gone through a lot of character development to become someone that we reluctantly cheer for all the time, and Bronn, who is just this lovable sellsword that we really like watching. He's that Jack Sparrow type we always talk
I don't know
about.
if I understand why everybody likes Bronn so much. I don't have that feeling towards him.
I think Bronn and Jamie are nice. They're like the guys next door. Like, yeah, fun,
Have sex with
charming,
your sister.
and they have sex. Well, yeah, cool, not bad. But they're not the meat of the show for me. They're not what they come on the screen, and I'm not like riveted. Even the nice looking, but not riveted.
Mm-hmm.
So, but Dany comes on, and I'm like, oh my god, what is she gonna do? Where's her dragons at? What's going to happen next, right? Cersei comes on, and I'm like, oh my god, what is she going to do? Right? Sansa, right? The characters that get you just like on the edge of your seat because holy crap, what's going to happen next? Jaime and Bronn, they're just kind of roaming the desert.
I completely agree, and I think that's why I'm really surprised that no one died in that whole fight scene because
a lot of people died.
Okay, but
Randall
like,
Tarley's probably dead.
I'm really surprised
We would've seen him
that
die.
one of Jaime or Bronn did not die because they would have shown them one of them died.
sure.
But I'm really surprised that they didn't because that's like so Game of Thrones to like do that, and I think the whole thing is really surprising. But I feel the exact same way. Like I don't really care about those two as much as I do every other character on the show.
I want to say one thing about. I totally agree with you, and I almost had this feeling at the very end of that episode where I was like, God, that was awesome, but at the same time, I was almost like, pussies. I was like, kill somebody.
Yeah.
You're Game of
I
Thrones.
felt the same way.
Like,
I thought Jamie was gonna get it.
yeah, or like even Daenerys. Like, what the fuck would happen if Daenerys died?
Oh,
or
man.
like, you know what I mean? Like, what if Jaime like was the Kingslayer again? Like, I had that moment, that thought process where like he was charging at her, and it's like, if he kills her, then he's gonna be the fucking Kingslayer.
Yeah.
Like, that almost makes sense.
Twice.
And it was like, maybe they'll kill a dragon. It's like, no, you just kind of hit its wing, and it's like, you fucking pussy, kill somebody.
I feel like from the question about what was better, Battle of the Bastards or this or this, what are we calling it? What are they calling it?
Disposal. Oh, the loot train.
Okay.
Loot train battle.
Which is better? I do have to say, and clearly this is the unpopular opinion, but in Battle of the Bastards, Joe's rewatched that countless times.
I've also watched it maybe 25
honest to
times.
God, almost to
Yeah.
the point where I can't rewatch that episode. It makes me squirm. From the emotional impact to the watching the piles of the whole entire thing, from how it was shot to the point to the characters that are on each side. I can't physically watch it again. It was that intense for me.
Yeah.
To me, that means that was a damn good battle. Holy crap, right? This episode, it was amazing. Great battle. I mean, everything you want. Two incredibly major characters fighting each other in the field for the first time. It was amazing. Definitely top two. I don't know if it's top one.
It was literally like Battle of the Bastards was Saving Private Ryan, and this episode, the Loot Train battle, was Lord of the Rings. It's like, this is really cool high fantasy action. It's fun to watch. But, like, yeah, so those didn't land with you, Kendall. those two. But, like, Saving Private Ryan is gritty. It's like, you have a hard time watching it for those reasons, because you're like, you can way more easily, this sounds crazy, but put your